think most dealers have them as demos, so you can come and actually test ride the S1000RR because we're that sure of our electronics. As long as you just keep it in the right mode for the demo ride, product meet and greet. So, any questions we have from?
Do they have the new one, the 2025?
Not yet. The 25 will be coming in a couple months, actually. I think 2-3 months, and then from there the M will be right behind it. But yes, once they're here, I truly believe Irv Seaver is one of the stronger dealers for sure. The sports segment in this Orange County is really strong, so I can definitely see a demo for you guys to be able to take out and hopefully understand from this presentation a little bit more about the steps of learning the RR instead of just jumping in right away to race mode. Yep. Any other questions?
Did the chassis change?
No. The chassis technically, it's still the same numbers, still the same weight. Aesthetically, obviously things have changed. I will say the upgraded, I feel it's a major upgrade, not just to arrows, but the front fender has the cooling ducts now for the brakes, which really does make a difference over time in regards to fade, a little bit of brake fade if you're really in a situation where you're pushing, but also it protects the forks better. It just does, end of story. And aesthetically, obviously, not just all function, but good looks that go along with it. The slide control, if you guys would like me to explain slide control and keep it simple, okay? How many of you guys have ridden a motorcycle with slide control? Legit slide control. Because if you don't, again, come from a dirt background and you don't come from a dirt track background and the luxury of a lot of these guys that know how to definitely get it done with a steel toe, the slide control, there's a potentiometer here that mounts to the lower triple tree. And what it's doing is basically measuring steering head angle. So all the times that we want to look good this direction, now we have the ability to look good this direction. And what it truly allows you to get away with once you trust it, and this a peek into my helmet, the first time I rode with slide control, naturally the rear tire had too much grip, so I wasn't able to utilize the slide control. A lot of times as the tire goes off, are you thinking about, oh man, how much it's going to cost to get another tire? Or the risk reward of being able to push more on that tire if you're at a track day and you're like, man, I paid money to ride all day, but man, it's really starting to slip. But as you start adding increments of support, like I told you with the DTC, you still have the ability to over-rotate if you give it too much throttle on the small part of the tire. So all this fancy talk, it's amazing. The slide control literally takes lean angle, steering head angle, and wheel speed sensors, okay? And the first time we were in Almeria and coming onto the back straightaway, it's a really nice, fast right-hander, but big lean angle. And I just shut one eye and just start laying into it, and you'll audibly hear it light up before it actually starts to move, just briefly. You can hear it start to light up. When you get that audible and you just know it's wrong to have that much percentage of throttle at that lean angle, as it starts to rotate, it simply feels like the rear wheel hits a berm or a rail, and it just stays there. It will not over-rotate, and you're lighting up the tire off the corner, out of whack with the steering head, and you're just like, ooh, I look amazing. I have to look amazing. What's funny is there's nobody around to watch me. It's just me out there on the track. But it doesn't matter. I feel like I'm doing it in front of a grandstand full of people. And the thing is, now I can't wait for the tire to get bad. I couldn't wait to spend more time with it. So I came in and actually had them run the tire 5 to 6 pounds over on purpose, just to really see the threshold of slip and positive wheel slip that you can get out of the system. So that's obviously exiting the corner. Entering the corner, it has slide control coming in. So if you really want to look good backing the motorcycle in, it has a threshold that for sure you have to get the timing right. You have to get the right speed, brake percentage, and you have to hit the right amount of percentage on the rear brake. And for sure, same thing. It really won't step out too far and over-rotate. But exiting the corner, I'll tell you right now, worth every penny. Absolutely worth every penny of the slide control if and when the environment and the time is right, okay? That's super important. Don't try to do it on your demo ride, okay? But from there, anything else in particular that we can cover?
What do you think about carbon wheels versus forged?
My thoughts on carbon wheels versus forged. Well, I can tell you carbon wheels, if you're in that situation that you literally hit something hard enough that is going to deform the edge of the rim, carbon carbon will retain its shape. It'll actually flex back and be able to hold air longer, where metal's metal. Once it's bent, and it will lose air a lot quicker. I've seen the camera from our testing grounds where there's literally metal triangles that you hit on purpose, and the camera speed is so slow. Sorry, I don't have the technical numbers, but it's unbelievable to watch a carbon wheel lose its shape and come back into shape versus the metal wheel, and you see the air escaping. So pros versus cons. I know a lot of us are nervous about shops changing carbon wheels, and how do you change carbon wheels? The same way you do metal wheels, carefully. End of story. So I'm a big fan of the carbon. A, sexy, looks great. B, a little bit lighter. But the forged wheels, I feel, are a nice happy medium. And especially if you're truly worried about all those wheel changes and you find yourself going to the track, just know that the S and the M1000, one of the other bigger differences is the underslung caliper, rear brake caliper. So the rear wheel from an M will not work on an S because the brake rotor's offset for a different caliper. And with that being said, there's another thing that I'll just briefly go over that I've found after spinning, and I'll start to wind down with what was just such an honor. And again, I'll use the term blessing. You guys have seen the content capture that's come out over the past week with Toprak and Vandermark and this little bit older balding guy that's not as slim as he used to be. If you ever see the red leathers with the matte black helmet on the gray and black double R, that's myself. And they needed 4 riders for that content capture for the official communication of the 2025 M&S 1000RR. And for them to ask me, knowing that there's a lot of great talented riders out there, unbelievable opportunity. And it was an unbelievable opportunity. And I'll get to what I was talking about. It has a lot to do with when we were in Spain. BMW is so, honestly, has such a huge opportunity having a rider in Toprak. How many of you guys have watched Toprak? I mean, we've watched him for more than one season on the BMW. We've watched him on the Yamaha. I even saw him on the Kawasaki when he was with Puccetti. And I even said, man, if that dude ever becomes available, trust me. We've all heard of amazing riders, great riders, legendary riders, but that loosely used term, how many of you ever really ridden with an alien? And I mean that. It's a single-digit group of riders that are true aliens. Casey Stoner, Mark Marquez, Valentino Rossi. What do they have in common? They brought something to the sport that elevated the sport, that made everybody pick up their game and follow suit. Toprak, absolutely. And his father, come to find out, one of the best stunt riders out there, so no wonder he started at 5 years old, 6 years old doing stunts. And his ability to not blow corners, and it looks like he's doing it on purpose and hamming it up, but he has found that perfect axis of being able to truly transfer weight, slow down at a threshold that other riders don't feel comfortable, obviously rotating and setting down sideways. But it's unbelievable to ride with him in person. And literally, we met in the garage. We got 3 days of filming ahead of us. Cool, super nice guy, humble. Biggest thing I noticed right off the bat, very humble, great character. And over the 3 days, it really reinforced me how I felt initially. Well, within 30 minutes, we're already in our suit. And me, being an old head, having about 2,000 laps around the Almeria circuit, who am I to say that I'm going to coach and teach, Toprak and Vandermark? Well, they just rolled out of the garage. I'm like, okay, I guess you guys don't need me to lead you around because it's just another piece of asphalt, right? So I rolled out behind him, like, fine, let's see what you think about the Andalusia circuit in Almeria. And it's in the desert, so dirty, just like a lot of the tracks you guys have around here with the dust. And I'm just rolling out. They're charging corners, and I know that mindset. It's an amazing mindset. When I was racing full-time, if I went to a new track, I ran it in really deep. And if it barely stuck, you're up to speed. Just back it down a little bit, you save a lot of time. Even though there's a lot of drama, but you save a lot of time. And by the time we got to turn 8 on my out lap, and this is after literally no embellishment, 2,000 laps around this track, I'm already riding 70%. And that's just, I don't know if you truly understand. I'm riding 70%. So we come up onto the back straightaway. I saw how they lined it up, and I just smiled in my helmet. I said, there's no possible way, Toprak or not, alien or not. Yep, he runs wide, up onto the rumble strip, all out of whack. I'm already at 20-degree less lean angle, 15% more throttle easily. And as we come onto the back straightaway, mind you, we're at minute number 34 of knowing each other. Now we're going from second gear, third gear, fourth gear. And we're coming up to one of the most treacherous corners on the track. It's a little bit downhill into 180 back uphill. From, if you're really going good, it's a fifth gear with a tailwind. But top of fourth gear, down to second gear, and it gets dirty down there. And I was worried for him. I'm like, man, this is our first potential world superbike champion, and he's just going to friggin', I got to be clean. We're live. He's just going to friggin' wad it up. And I did. I rolled off a little early. We're at the 250 meter marker. We got 3 days of riding. He lifts the rear right where you are, about 4 bike lengths at him. He just lifts the rear, like on TV. And I'm just sitting there watching. And then I look at his left heel. He gets 2 downshifts out, sets it down, makes the corner, runs a little wide. So now we're on lap number 2. I'm riding 80%. 80%. I got 2,000 laps around this place. How can you possibly be that talented? And then same thing, lines up the back straightaway, not as good, and lifts the rear even higher and even deeper. And I'm just watching this, like, geez, like this is unbelievable, the speed we're going. And then by the third lap, I'm going to be honest with you, I was riding about 85, 90%. And knowing that we had 3 days of filming, knowing that we only had 2 of each pre-series M and S1000s, I'm just going to let him ride a little bit and do his thing. And I said, no, I'm going to stick with him. He was gone. I mean, within 4 laps, he had already had that place figured out enough to just turn up. And then by the end, as we were working with our new after sales data logger, he put in a lap time that was right just off of German superbike times testing there. So he's unbelievable. But I'll leave it at this. He's equally as good a human being as he is a racer. And there's something to be said about that. I can honestly, openly say he's a Turkish redneck. And when he found out I was from Georgia, he's like, we got something in common. And we just ended up talking about everything and anything under the sun that really didn't even have to do with bikes. So just a great human being. And for sure, we're glad to have him one more season. Hopefully he can bring another World Superbike Championship. But, if there's anything else, I mean, there's so much more stuff. I don't want to start running too late here, but any questions? Anything more that we can dive into? How many of you all have actually utilized the multi-function wheel on these so we can come up as we start to wind down and we can go over a lot of the features while we have enough juice in the lithium batteries for you all? What you see behind us is an F900R. So the F900R is a spec series. It's a cup. How many of you are familiar with our parallel twin? Not really, because it might not seem that appealing. Power to weight ratio, 99 horsepower, a little on the heavier side, potentially the wheelbase of a sport touring bike. Well, when I tell you right now, when there's 48 of them identically prepared and in a controlled environment, that's a good time. That's a really good time. So it's a support class for British Superbike. And I'll tell you right now, the youth and enthusiasm that it's brought the brand over in the UK and the level of talented riders that are trying to make a name for themselves. They were literally having turnkey race bikes when you convert them to US dollars, $14,000 for a turnkey race bike that's ready to go. So for sure, fingers crossed, there's a chance that could be here in the U.S. next year. And when you guys get a chance to truly see, let's say 30 to 40 bikes identically prepared, making a sound, and this is coming from somebody that loves boxers. I'll be a little bit biased that a true race prepped R9T that we ran in Super Hooligans is the most euphoric sound out there. How can I debate a parallel twin liquid cooled sounding better than our race bike? And it really does. It's an amazing. So hopefully, fingers crossed, we'll see how that evolves. But thank you guys again for your time. Any questions that we have, since you don't want to ask them on camera, we're going to take some time, sit on the bikes, come up, enjoy some of the features, check them out. Thank you. Yep.
All right, guys, give Nate another round of applause. This is a great job at these. So, very exciting news for the S1000RR and M1000RR. As Nate travels the world, if you have any other questions, we have our sales team and our reps. You guys know Robert and Devin. Robert's back there saying hi. He's well versed. He's also very well informed RR rider. He's very fast. Cannot keep up with them. So if you guys have any other questions, as Nate said, come up. You guys could check out the bikes, as these are the only ones right now on the West Coast, right, Nate? In the country, the only ones in the country. So you guys are not going to get any other opportunity like this for a little bit. So come up and enjoy. I will cut the live stream so you guys could feel free to ask and be yourselves. So thank you guys once again for joining us here at Receiver BMW for the launch of the 2025 S and M1000RR with Nate Kern. Thank you, Nate. Appreciate you, brother.
Wider seat for endurance racing, more contact patch, more ability to literally just not have to hang on nearly as much by having a little bit more leverage on the edge of the seat. But to me, it's 10 millimeter higher than the 21 and 22 M1000 seat, which was 20 millimeter higher than the base seat. So we were in the garage and Toprak's like, and I already knew, if you follow World Superbike, you know he kept lowering the seat on his Superbike to the point where it's literally flat as this floor, and it sits deep right on the subframe. But that gives him the feel that he needs to go out and win races and go really fast. And it's funny because Bautista and a couple of other riders started to complain, but it's Superbike. You can change the ergonomics. So what's there to complain about, right? So they're always trying to find something when somebody's going faster, right? But the beauty of that is the M rear sets that you have the ability to lower that are on a pegboard here for even less circulation in your knees, taller rider, longer trips. But you can still take the base seat, the previous generation seat, or this seat, just so you guys know, as when it comes out that you're not just fixed with this one. So come up and feel the seat, feel just how tall it might be or how tall it might not be for riders. They're a little bit shorter. And definitely, I want you to feel the balance. Naturally, I didn't get into the new frame mounts. I didn't get into so many other aspects technically, but we can ask questions and I can point them out and show them to you. All right? Come on up. Thank you.